805 Boxing News here at the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy with Robert Garcia. Robert, everybody knows you as a world-class trainer, but not that many people realize you were a world-class boxer. How old were you when you started boxing?
I started boxing really young, man. You know, my dad was always loved the sport, so he always trained myself, my sisters, my older brother. He trained everybody at home. But then, when I was 5 years old, that's when we started training at La Corona Boxing Club, and I had my first amateur fight when I was 5 years old, and ever since it's been boxing.
So you became a world champion. Who'd you defeat to become a world champion?
When I won my title, I beat Harold Warren. The fight was in Florida. It was in Miami, but it was like in a casino, like an Indian reservation in a casino in Florida. So Mikusuki Casino, something like that. And I beat Harold Warren a 12-round unanimous decision.
And who was your toughest opponent through your career?
I had a few tough guys, tough opponents, man. I'd say tough as physically strong and physically very hard was Ben Tacky. Ben Tacky was just a strong, guy. One of those guys from Africa that are always in great shape and are just physically very strong. That was probably the toughest. Hardest puncher. I had quite a few. Ramon Ledon, who I defended my title the first time, had tremendous power, and he hit very hard. But so did Diego Corrales, and Ben Tacky also was very strong, who had a very strong punch. But I think the most hard fighter that I ever faced, like in experience, difficult, just all around very good fighter was John Molina. I think that was probably the hardest guy that I fought, because he was hard. The fight was close. I won a decision, but the fight was very close, and he was very durable.
Who's the fighter you wish you could have fought that you never did?
Look, at that time in my career, honestly, I wasn't, even though I was a world champion, I wasn't that type of fighter that really loved what I was doing. I wasn't really excited about being a boxer or a world champion. To me, it wasn't that much of a deal, because it was more like my dad made us box. Of course I love the sport, and I was doing it because I was making a living out of it, but it wasn't I don't think my heart was ever in there 100%. So I never had an opponent where I got to face that guy. That's the one I want to face. I can't. I have to. There's we were champions at the same time with Floyd Mayweather, but there was never that rivalry where we got to face each other. Never really had an opponent like that. I was retired. I was retired 4 years already, because I retired at 26, and I was 30 when a good friend of mine, rest in peace, Gennaro Hernandez, called me, because we used to be very good friends. We would talk on the phone a lot. So he called me and asked me, what I've been up to, and he was 9 years older than me, if I'm not mistaken, 9 or 10 years older than me, and he was training. I think he was 39, training to try to, I think he told me something, I'm getting in shape, maybe something comes out, maybe get another fight. And then he told me, Robert, you're only 30, why wouldn't you be training? And I was already 4 years retired. And he says, look, Robert, right now at 130, that's when Barrera, Morales, Pacquiao, Marquez, they were all in the mix. He says, a couple of wins, you'll be in the mix too. But, it wasn't, even though I sparred Barrera, I sparred Morales, you got to, respect what Pacquiao has done in his career, Marquez, all great fighters. But I never had that, that
desire,
that goal, that desire to say, I want to fight those guys, I want to go in there against those guys. To me, it wasn't a big deal.
So you're a world-class boxer and a world-class trainer. So you get more enjoyment out of training boxers to a world championship?
Definitely, bro. 100%. 100%. Look, what first caught my attention was when I first started working with two of my good friends here in Oxnard, you know, that were professional fighters. Arturo Barraza, better known as Gonzo, and Felipe Campa. They're still my good friends, two of my best friends, and I started taking them to fights. That's when I was retired. My dad told me, you know, give it a try, see how you like it. What I liked the best was the traveling. Me as a fighter, I traveled all over the world too. In the amateurs, we traveled. We had international fights. As a professional fighter, I fought in Japan. I fought all over the United States. But I never really enjoyed those trips because it was all ready to the fight. You know, if we go a week before the fight, we're cutting weight. We're not eating. We can go to bed. You have to go to bed early. So it was never fun. And then right after the fight, the next day, first thing in the morning, you have to fly back home.
Robert,
What's up, dude?
What's up, dude?
What's up?
So I never really enjoyed my, you know, all those trips. But then when I started traveling with Felipe and Gonzo, that's where I'm like, damn, you know, this is what I want to do, because I get to go to sleep late. I get to go out if I want. If we're in Vegas, the guys go to sleep. I don't have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I can go have fun, and I never did that until I was 26. When when those things started happening, you know. So that's what kind of got my attention. Then I started. When my younger brother Mikey was in the National Junior Olympics, I traveled with him to the nationals. And that's where I met Victor Ortiz. Then after Victor Ortiz, I met Brandon Rios, and that's how everything started. You know, that's when I started co-managing them because I needed to learn the sport a little bit more, the management. So Cameron Duncan was the first and only manager that pretty much believed in what I could do with fighters, and until now I still manage fighters for him, and we still co-manage some fighters. So that's how everything started, man. It was more of the traveling that really caught my attention.
Yeah. So one of your other fighters, Abner Mares, he had health issues. What's next for him?
Look, he took a couple of weeks off because the fight got postponed, but it was more of New York being very strict with their exams. Abner is able to fight in California, Nevada, Texas. You know, those are states where he's already fought before, and he's had no problems. But New York is just very strict. It's his. He doesn't. Yeah. It's his vision, because, you know, it's not even the eye, because everybody knows Abner has had a detached retina years ago, but the exam wasn't because of the detached retina. It was actually the other eye. It's his vision that he can't see from far. You know, he has problems with his vision. You know, he has to wear glasses and stuff like that. But during the fight, he's never had a problem. But it was just New York being very strict with their testing.
And Saul, Neno, he just fought recently, but what's next for him? Higher competition?
We have to, you know, he has to step it up. You know, he's also coming towards the end of his career, so we're actually in negotiations for his new contract, make a new deal for him, and work something out. And you know, he's had a great career. He's undefeated. He's had some great wins. Now it's time to step it up. But it's all up, you know, Top Rank, Brad Goodman, the matchmaker. They've done a great job. So I'm sure they'll continue to do the same.
And Mikey, he's coming back July 30th. Has he been chomping at the bit to get this fight?
Well, look, this fight was more like, let's get something right away as soon as possible. We were when Mikey got released by Top Rank, all the all the TV networks, all the big fighters, they already had dates and opponents and stuff like that. So it was hard to find something right away. It was in April when Mikey became a free agent, but it was really difficult for us to go to Showtime and say, okay, Mikey's free, let's give him a date, because they already had all their dates lined up, and they couldn't remove other fighters. They're all world-class fighters, so they couldn't remove, or they couldn't just make up another date for Mikey when they already have a program set up. So it took a few months, but this opportunity came, where they told us, there's an opening on Showtime on the Leo Santa Cruz card. Can't get any better. Leo Santa Cruz is very popular amongst all the Mexican fans, so we know a lot of Mexicans are going to be watching. The only difference is that Mikey wanted to fight his first fight back in Southern California, but it's in New York. But people can still watch it on Showtime, and I'm pretty sure Mikey's next fight will be somewhere here in Southern California.
And how many more tune-up fights is he going to have before he fights for a world title?
Mikey just wants one. He just wants this one fight, and then he wants to fight for the title next. But it also depends on the champion. It also depends on the, I guess, the promoters, the TV networks. Mikey wants to fight at 135 for a title, his next fight. So it depends on which champion is available. We know that Linares is unifying against that other champion from England. They're unifying their titles till September, so Mikey would probably have to wait till December or maybe early next year. But if I'm not mistaken, what's his name? Flanagan or something. He's the WBO champion, and he's fighting in July. He's defending his title in July. So if everything goes well and he comes out with a good win, Mikey and him are both fighting in July. So I think that fight could be something that Mikey would want, something that could be made, because they're both fighting around the same time. I think like a 2-week difference. So that could set up the fight for maybe sometime in October. So that's what we're looking at.
And one last question. Out of all the young fighters you have, who's going to be next to be on the Wall of Fame, the Wall of Champions at the Robert Garcia Gym?
Look, we have a lot of we have a lot of young fighters that I know are going to be world champions. I'm rubbing one of them hands right now. Most of them are getting ready right now. They all have the potential of becoming world champions. But I would say the closest one, because he's fighting for the title, maybe Abner Mares, who is not one of my young fighters. He's actually one of my new guys that I'm working with. But he's the closest, because if the fight happens sometime in August or September, he's fighting for the world title. I have Neno, who's already in position to fight for the world title. These guys right here, like Mean Machine or the Neno, they still have maybe, I would say, 4 or 5 fights before something like that, something big. But the closest, Abner Mares could probably be the closest.
All right. You heard it here from Robert Garcia, 805 Boxing. We out.